everyone, and welcome to the Spin It Social Hour. Let's talk social media for social good. My name is Steffen Kaplan, and I am so thankful to be here with everyone this evening. I'm a social media and visual strategist and live stream producer who has worked with many top organizations as AARP and the Pulitzer Prizes, and truly believes in using social media for social good. In fact, I started the Spin It Social Hour when the pandemic hit to help photographers around the world share their work and journeys and their work had literally dried up with everything being shut down. Now, after 50 shows, I have decided to pivot and start sharing the stories of people using social media for its positive impact to inspire, to educate, and of course, to help others. Wow. First of all, I hope everyone is doing well. We're in another stage of this pandemic, but with vaccines and the booster and continuing to wear our masks and everything, hopefully we will be making some breakthroughs again. I hope everyone's safe and doing well. Tonight, my first guest, I'm really honored, is Tim McDonald, who is the former director of community for the Huffington Post, where he built and managed the community for HuffPost Live. Yes, a true live streaming pioneer. Tim, always passionate in his pursuit of purposefully connecting people, was the founder of My Community Manager and director of communications for Social Media Club Chicago. He creates engagement and conversation, turning students into teachers and teachers into students. Tim has also worked with No Kid Hungry, and if you want to hear about impact during his time with them, the Giving Tuesday fundraising for No Kid Hungry increased from 56,000 to over 250,000 in just 3 years, which translated into 2.5 million meals for kids in the US. Bravo, Tim. Please help me welcome the purposeful connector, the architect of humanity, the purveyor of purpose, and agent of change, Tim McDonald. Tim, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Thank you so much, Steffen. And thanks everybody for tuning in. And just needed to give a shout out to Tim Sohn, my other Tim, who said he got popcorn in hand, but he was just kidding. And in all reality, I can't have popcorn this week because I got a colonoscopy coming up on Friday.
and that's a good thing that you're holding off on the popcorn. And Tim is always here to support everyone. Tim has a great show that you're actually going to be on next month. Thank you, Tim. So welcome. How are you doing, buddy? I know it's been a long journey and everything, and I'm so thankful to have you here as my first guest. It's an honor.
Oh, I'm just honored to be here, Steffen, and just so appreciative of our friendship and the support you've shown, and glad, you all those kind words you had to say about me.
Well, I have to tell you, we go way back, and we met at Social Media Weekend, and then a friendship blossomed, as many friendships do at Social Media Weekend. And we took it to in person, not just in real life, because we're going to talk about that. About how people are always saying that social media is not in real life. But tell us about, how you've been doing lately, what you've been up to, and how, this journey has been for you with this difficult stage that you went through. And
it's been about, November 30th of 2020, I went into our local urgent care center and had a pain in my, as they called it, my right flank. I just called it my right side, lower right side. And they thought it might've been kidney stones, ordered a CT scan for me, called me back in on Monday after I had the CT scan, and I knew something was up when they brought me directly to the back without having to do all the normal registration process, and heard those 3 words, you have cancer. And it was a little overwhelming at first, but I, like everything in life, I just took it in stride and wanted to learn as much as I could, and went through some really aggressive chemo for 6 months. And then I'm sure we'll get involved in talking about some of these groups that I'm involved with and got involved with that have just helped me. And now this year, looking at possibly being on the path to getting a liver transplant after they hopefully do a colon resection on me. And for those of you that don't know, colon resection is when they remove part of your colon. I'm learning these terms, so I don't want to assume anybody else knows what they mean. Which is one thing that I think is important, is that you speak language that other people can understand.
Well, you know, Tim, one of the reasons I really wanted to have you on as the first guest, and I'm so thankful that, you know, I thought of this, because you are the ultimate community manager. You've taught me a lot. You've taught many people around the world a lot about community management. And what you've done since the day you've been diagnosed hasn't changed in terms of what you've done with community. In fact, it's only gotten stronger. So you've first you started, you know, joining a community and a support group, and then you started becoming an ambassador for Fight CRC. We'll be showing their information throughout the show, so people should learn about Fight CRC. And it's great. First of all, I want to acknowledge Rose Horowitz behind the scenes. She's part of my team on working on the show, and I really appreciate Rose. Everyone follow her, please. But, you know, Tim, the community that you keep building and what you're sharing and the things that you've done to help other people, I tell you, you're amazing. How the energy and the spirit.
Well, yeah, you know, I mean, when I first heard those words from the urgent care doctor, he knows me because I don't go to the doctor. I didn't go to the doctor. I should rephrase that that often. And when I did, it was usually to the urgent care, and never for anything too major, just like pain in my foot that I had. And when I thought I had a really bad flu, but it was just a cold. So, but he told me those words, and the first thing going through my head was not why me, but why not me, right? Like, why do I have this? Why is this happening? It's not in a negative way, but in how I can take this, what most people would consider tragic news, and turn it into something that could be beneficial for not only me, but for others, and help others. And what that's meant is, you know, one, having the nerve, or whatever we want to call it, confidence, overcoming our fear, whatever you want to call it. And each of us can call it something unique to how we feel. But getting over that about telling the world that I had this cancer. But more importantly, it was about what I needed at the time. And I got tremendous help in almost every ask that I put out. I only put out like 3 asks, helping get information about getting good insurance, helping get into Moffitt Cancer Center here in Tampa, and helping support through my dear friend Ayelet Barron's GoFundMe that she had set up at the time. And it was just overwhelming, the support I got from all 3 of those things. But, you know, the amazing thing that happened by me sharing my story and having the, you know, the confidence and the, you know, the ability to be able to put out there not only the good things, but the, you know, the negative side of things. The you know, when I was going through pain, when, you know, I was overwhelmed with some certain things, and, you know, it was just amazing that, you know, all these people kind of came around. And, you know, one of my friends introduced me to a guy who was involved in Man Up to Cancer, which we have a private Facebook group, and it's specifically for men. We don't talk about treatments. We don't talk about methods. We just talk about our emotions, basically, you know, what we're going through, what we're feeling, whether it be a downtime, whether it be an excitement time. But we also talk about things that are not cancer related. We call them anything but cancer days, or ABC days. And we, you know, so, I mean, and there's an ongoing joke about, you know, whether pineapple should be put on pizza, whether peats are nutritional foods. That's a shout out to Joe Bullock, who's one of the administrators and kind of co-creators of the Facebook group. So we just, you know, we have some fun in there, but we also, you know, are supportive. And, you know, when people pass in the group, we call it carrying their banner or raising their banner, that they're not forgotten, that we will always be there and carry on their message, their, you know, their fight, and we consider it winning the fight, right? And I think it was when I forget who it was that died from cancer not that long ago, Tim McDonald, I think it was. And one of the sayings he said is, you know, I'm no scientist, but, and I'm going to butcher this, right? But I'm no scientist, but, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, when you die, the cancer dies with you. So that's a win in my book. And and I'm like, you know, but that's kind of the attitude, right, that we have, is just this, you know, we call it KFG, which is, you don't mind if I swear, do you?
Nope.
Keep fucking going. I usually clean it up on social, but no matter where we are in our life, and this is what I've learned, and this is what I try and help people with. This doesn't matter if you're diagnosed with a life terminal disease. It just, anything that happens in our life, we just need to remember to KFG, right? Just keep effing going. And too many of us get wrapped up in, you know, oh, this is all, you know, happening to me. But anyway, getting back to that, I got involved with Man Up to Cancer. I was very instrumental in creating some really strong friendships there. And I got to meet actually one person I met so far from the Tampa area, Lee. We met through the Man Up to Cancer group. We got on a Zoom together, and then I actually met him at Moffitt during one of our infusions together. So that was just a great experience. But then, you know, this other thing happened where, you know, I did want to get more information on what specifically, because the Man Up to Cancer was men with all different types of cancers, family members, caregivers, or, you know, cancer survivors. So the one thing that I wanted to do was learn more about, you know, people with more my condition, that had colon cancer that metastasized to your liver. So one of the guys, Joe, it was, connected me with this other group on Facebook called Colon Town. And Colon Town was this place where you do come in and talk about different treatment options. And they have like over 120 different sub communities under the main Colon Town. So you can be anybody that's affected by, again, it can be a you know, caregiver, family member, survivor, you know, anybody but it has to be focused around colon cancer. And so I was in that group, and then I got into what they call liver lovers lane, which is people that have metastasis from their colon to their liver, which is what I had. And the beautiful thing about that was I just learned so much that was specific to my case, you know, because I knew I wasn't eligible for different treatment options based upon me having too many lesions on my liver, based upon my liver being diseased, you know, all these other factors. I knew that like all these other options outside of chemo weren't going to be possible for me. But the two things that kind of were still up in the air were, could I get surgery on my liver, you know, to either remove part of it, like the resection, or just to, you know, take out different parts of it or something. And I wasn't sure on that. And my oncologist said no, but I don't take what my oncologist says for a surgeon opinion. So I wanted to get a surgeon's opinion. So if he was saying no, I made a consult with a surgeon out in California. And I had also heard that liver transplants might be an option for me. So one of the people, Betsy Post in Colon Town in Liver Lovers Lane, she's one of the, you know, the community leaders there. She is so knowledgeable about, you know, different cancers and options and treatment options especially for the liver. And it was just amazing because she connected me with this doctor up in New York at University of Rochester Medicine up in New York. And they're the second leading liver transplant doctors that deal with metastasized, you know, cancer to the liver, right behind Cleveland Clinic. So that's how many transplants they do. And I've read a lot of great things with them. So I consulted with him, and he actually told me after seeing my scans and my reports that I was not a candidate for surgery. So there was no reason for me to see the doctor out in California, which he knew and respected, but he said, you don't need to do that because I'm telling you, he doesn't do transplants and he's not going to be able to do surgery. He goes, but you might be a candidate for transplant, but we need to go through all these steps. So I'm not going to go into all the details on that, but you know, so you can just see like just this connection from me sharing that story originally to getting introduced to Man Up to Cancer, you know, making me aware of Colon Town. And then also Joe was an ambassador once you're an ambassador for Fight CRC, you're always an ambassador for Fight CRC, but he was in the class of last year and I am in the class of this year. And so he put something in the Man Up to Cancer group about anybody that was interested in this. And me and JJ got involved, and we actually met each other in Man Up to Cancer, but then through the ambassador program, we had training last fall out in Springfield, Missouri, where they're headquartered, and we got introduced to each other and the fellow ambassadors in our class and the staff out there. And it's just been amazing to be able to support them. And upcoming in March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month.
Mm-hmm.
I need to stop talking so fast when I say that phrase because I butcher it up if I go too fast. But one of the things that I was on a webinar for just last week was about, going blue, right, for the month, because
That's
blue
right.
kind of the color for colorectal cancer.
I've seen you tweeting and posting about that. Yep.
Yeah. And so one of the things that they wanted to do was get proclamations from the governor of every state and the city that you lived in. And another thing is to work with the city that you live in to turn monuments, city buildings, parks, office buildings blue, that have the ability to change colors. I mean, I'm sure everybody's seeing it like on the Empire State Building, right? For 4th of July. And if the, Giants, win or the Rangers win or the Knicks win or whatever, there's a big thing up there. Right. And so I just all of a sudden, for the first time in my life, I realized how I could go beyond just using my voice on social media, just using the money that I've had in the past to be able to donate to causes, to actually becoming an advocate where I get out in the public and start sharing and spreading my story so that politicians, that businesses, that other people are aware. But the best thing that's happened through all this stuff, and I got to tell you, is the fact that after I started sharing what I've gone through and encouraging people to get screened for colon cancer, I can honestly say, and it's probably way higher than this, but I've had 30 people that have confirmed to me that they've gotten colonoscopies or screened for cancer or colon cancer because of me sharing what I'm going through. And at least a half a dozen of those people have confirmed that they have had polyps that were non-cancerous that got removed before they turned into cancer. And one of my dearest friends actually had his doctor tell him, I think he had 7 polyps, that if he had not gone in and gotten screened, those polyps within probably a year would have turned cancerous. And so he thanks me for saving his life. But it's like I tell everybody, I can only share what I'm going through and encourage other people to do, certain things. I can't do it for them. They're the ones that took the action. They're the ones that deserve the credit. I'm just here to share the message and make them aware of how to go about doing it, when you can go about doing it, and why you should go about doing it.
Right. So this is a really important thing that I wanted to discuss with you because, we all know about the amount of negativity on social media. We hear about it all the time, and people are like, I've got to tune out of social media. All I see is all this craziness. Everybody's posting all this nonsense. But what I started this show for was to bring people on, such as yourself, who are really in-depth experts at social media and community management, to talk about sharing real life stories like this and what an impact it has. I mean, you have had such an impact on so many lives and so many people already. It's always just mind-boggling to me because you are going through so much, but yet you muster up the spirit and the willpower every day. As you said, keep effing going and work through it. But at the same time, you're always about educating. You're always about empowering people and making people understand that this social media is real life. Let's get into that discussion for a second, where people are always saying, this is not, I'll see you in real life one day. No, you're seeing me in real life. I'm right here. This isn't a clone of me. This isn't an android.
Well, I can go back, it's kind of weird to say, but I've been in Tampa 7 years now. I lived in New York for 3. So probably 12, 13 years ago, I always called it, why are we saying IRL? It drove me nuts because who I was online was exactly who you met in person. And I always used to, and I still do refer to it this way, is when we
Right.
meet online, that's our handshake, right? And when we get together in person, I know that hasn't happened for too many people in the last 2 years, but when we get in person, we can give each other a hug because we feel that comfortable with each other. We know enough about each other through what we shared online. And, you know, I love that you got the picture of my arm up there with my tattoo, "Let the world feel your heartbeat," because that's all part of what, you know, I just shared my journey through learning I had cancer. But it's also about what I try and help and encourage others for. It's, you know, if we stop and put our hand over our heart and we actually just listen to that and feel it, we can feel if it's racing, we can feel if it's, you know, but the one thing that we always feel is it's always there, it's always consistent, and we never have to stop and think about it. And when we can start sharing our stories in the same way that our heartbeat is, that's when people start listening to us. That's when they start believing us. That's when they know we're not standing up on a soapbox and yelling out through a megaphone to be the loudest, to stand out in a crowd, because that's not what people want to hear. They want to touch with you as a person. They don't want to just hear what you want them to hear. And so when you are consistent and you open yourself up and you're not just sharing what you think people want to hear, but you're sharing what you know you're going through, the people that are there that hear that over and over and over again are going to start to resonate and rally around you. And they're going to lift you up. But at the same time, you're lifting them up because you're empowering them to know that this is okay for them to do. And it's one of the biggest challenges I think that most people have is like when they start thinking, how can I make a difference? You know, I don't have 20,000 followers. I don't have 4,000 friends on Facebook. I don't have this. Well, you know what? I was sitting in the same exact situation as you when I started. Yeah. I didn't have any of this either. And my goal was never to become any one of those people. Right. It was always to be true to myself. Well, and now I care even less about the numbers. But what makes a difference to me is knowing that I can impact one person's life. That's all that matters.
And that is what is so special about using social media for positive impact. And we have this at our fingertips. People didn't have this decades ago to be able to spread this kind of information and knowledge. So yes, there's a lot of problems that go on with social, but we can all make a difference if we continue to use it in the right ways. And that's, I want to talk about first, let's pause for a second because we've had so many people chime in here. The comments are flooded. Rose, my assistant here tonight, and who's, just one of the great social media people out there. Rose, can you please put some of the initial greetings and everything else up and then run through a bunch of them? And let's say, hello, Andrew Kavanaugh, for being here. William King is here. We want to say hello to everybody, at least a bunch of people. Tim Sohn, we know, is here. Tim's on everyone's show, always supporting, and vice versa. Let's just keep rolling through a bunch, Rose. That's you, Rose. We got Bob Veritoni. Bob, wonderful to see you. Thank you for being here with us. And Radyan, hello. How are you? Pleasure to see you this evening. Thank you for being here and sharing your time with us. Tai Chi is here. Hi, Tai. Andrew again is still here, and everything. We're going to talk about that in a second later. Andrew, love the new angle. Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Joan Dietz is here. Hello from Philadelphia. Hello. Thank you, Joan, for being here. Edward Leskin. Look at this crowd, Tim, for you, man.
Oh, Marilyn's wife here from Long Island, from Staten Island, and my wife is actually watching downstairs.
Let's stop for a second because Ross Brand is one of the true live streaming specialists out there that we all admire and we all look up to in many ways. He is one of the best in the biz. He inspires me all the time with live streaming. And I know you were on a show with him quite a while ago.
Yeah, I think I was one of his first guests when he first started his show. And Ross and I actually met when I was doing a lot of live streaming back in the day when he was just thinking of getting started. So I always appreciate our friendship and the credit he gives me, even though he's taken it and run with it well beyond what I ever did.
Everybody should follow Ross Brand. Everybody should get his new book on live streaming. And we will be talking about that more in future shows, and I'll be, talking about Ross. But anyway, one of the things I wanted to do, so you got started quite a while ago in community management. And the one thing I love, and first I'm going to show a clip, and then I want to talk about, is you've never always fully believed in community as the term community management, but community matterment, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's show this clip for a second. Let me just get the clip for 1 second here. And we're going to show a real goodie here of Tim from quite a while ago when he started with the HuffPost, and it's going to be great.
And I had hair and it wasn't as gray.
So here we are. Let's kick it off today. Tim, I wanted to start off and just, have you introduce yourself to us and tell us a little bit about what you're doing and your background.
Well, sure. I'm Tim McDonald. Like you said, I am the community manager at HuffPost Live. HuffPost Live is a live streaming network of the Huffington Post, and we do 12 hours of live streaming broadcasting Monday through Friday. So 60 hours a week right now. No commercial breaks, no anything. So it's there. And the unique thing about it is we're not really reporting on the news. We're basically having discussions about the news. And the whole forefront of why HuffPost Live was created was really because on the .com side, we saw that 70% of our comments were all in reply to other comments. And so we said, hey, look at all these people in the community wanting to have conversations with each other. Why don't we create a platform for them to have that on? And so that's really why and how HuffPost Live came to be.
That's actually really amazing. How in the world do you?
That is really amazing. I mean, look at the history. But I love the fact that what you said was that we started this community, HuffPost live stream on Google Plus, right? And the reason you started it, as you explained, was because you saw that there were more replies and more responses to the engagement. So talk to us about community management, not the term that everybody likes to use, but what you say is community matterment. Explain and talk to us about that.
Well, I think, management in its own self and own word means that you have control, or you're trying to control a group of people, right? Or a person, and you're managing them. You're directing them exactly what to do. But we all know in a true community, we're not there to be employees.
Right.
We're there because we have a passion for, the topic and why we're showing up there. And so my biggest thing that I've always learned, and it's held true through before I was at HuffPost and still to this day, it's the same thing I do when I'm involved in my cancer groups and being an ambassador for Fight CRC is, in simple terms, community matterment is letting each member of the community know that they matter.
Right.
And the easiest way to do that is to become their biggest fans. They're showing up because they're the biggest fan of what you're doing, but, whether it's you personally or your organization that you're supporting, but what you need to do as the person in that position is let them know that they are the real champion. They are the ones who matter the most to you in that particular moment. And when you do that, you create an emotional connection and an emotional bond with that person, through your organization or through you personally, that is very difficult to be broken. And it's so important. And most brands don't get this because they think it's all about the metrics that they want to see happen.
All you ever hear, right?
Yep. And when you have this and you can work towards a common goal with your community, all of a sudden those numbers and those impact and those results that you want to see are going to come.
Boom. They're going to blossom.
Right. And it's not like an influencer. This is what I tell people all the time about the difference between, community and audience. audience is you pay a celebrity or an influencer or whatever to show up, post about your thing. You get a real big spike in your numbers, and then they drop right back down after that engagement's over. The thing about community is it's a lot slower start, but it ramps up and it keeps going up. It never takes an immediate dip because you put that relationship building into it that created those fans for you because you were their biggest fans to create that impact.
Right. Absolutely. And, I have experience with this too. And I 100% with everything that you've said, because when I was in the hotel business, I was working for hotels as a social media ambassador for the ZNYC Hotel in New York and the Salisbury Hotel by Carnegie Hall. I got to know the guests really well. And let me tell you, metrics aside, the engagement was incredible. And this is the true power. Okay, I'm not working with them still, but I am friends with half of the guests that used to chime in to this day. There's Anne Martin in the UK. There's I'm drawing a couple of blanks here, but Mary, I'm drawing a blank with her name, someone from Rhode Island. We got together, we had cannolis, we went to go have coffee one day. These two wonderful ladies, retired math teachers, just wonderful when you build a community and you embrace it and you get to know the people, and it's not just about metrics, but the metrics will come. They will come.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No. And it's like I say, the fellow ambassador with me this year, JJ, who came from the Man Up to Cancer group, he's from a smaller town in Western Virginia, I believe it is, or North Carolina. I'm sorry. And he, he's doing a fundraiser for the first couple months of this year leading up to March. And, he's selling some t-shirts that say bottoms up to fight cancer or something like that. And it's just like, it's a good joke with two beer bottles coming and, the blue and everything. Oh, there's my buddy Lee. You're in chemo together.
I didn't mean to interrupt you with the photo, but I wanted to set this up so we can start talking about that when you're done with what you're talking.
Yeah. But the biggest thing for me is like, I see JJ posting his stuff and he's starting to blog about, he was diagnosed, I think when he was 22 or 23 years old, and he's 7 years into it, right? Like with having colon cancer. And so it's just like to hear his journey and for him to be opening up about it and sharing this and inspiring others that are going through this at a younger age to the mental aspect that it takes on you as well as the physical aspect of it. And so whenever he's sharing something, I'm always trying to reshare his stuff and promote his stuff. And if I can support him by buying a t-shirt or something, because that's what it is to me. It's about, helping each other out so that we all are successful at getting our messages out, because the one person that tries to share their message that doesn't get it heard is the first person that's not going to want to share it again.
That's right. That's right. And I have to tell you, the community that we've built, Marilyn Zayford is one of them. Marilyn says transparency is crucial to success and people can see the passion. That's absolutely right. And I have Marilyn to thank, because Marilyn is someone who, through our social media network, launched me into the position of being an adjunct professor at FIT. So it all goes around. If you're a great community that's sharing and helping. Edward Leskin is somebody who I met in person, not just in real life, Tim. He's a great photographer who I had on my previous Spinach Social Hour, which was about photographers. And we went to the Museum of Industrial History, and we had a great day there because Edward's been documenting it for years. But it's all, like Edward says, sharing these stories or forming bonds in real community, brotherhood, sisterhood, fatherhood, motherhood. Everything so refreshing to feel and see tonight. Edward, you are part of that community, and we thank you for being here. But Tim, get to these two photos here. The one thing about you is that you don't just, Lori, of course, Lori is here. And wait, well, time out. I'm shifting ahead here for one second. Lori gets not only a shout out because she's your wife, she is an angel. She's the love of your life, and she is an incredible, incredible person. Here's Lori, Tim's wife.
Yes.
I love this photo of you two. So tell us about Lori. Let's segue into Lori first.
Okay. No. Well, I can go back 17 years. We met at a Super Bowl party where she didn't want to show up, and I just showed up because I just said yes to everything. So But we met there, and we've been together ever since. And she has always gone on with me on these crazy adventures. Kind of reluctantly to New York when I got the job at HuffPost, but then she ended up loving it there. And then we decided we could move down to Tampa and work down here. And we've absolutely loved it and have a granddaughter not too far away from us now. So we're very happy about that. And she has just been amazing during this whole thing. We're both different people, but we both are together. And actually going back to this photo now, Lee on the right with me getting our chemo together. He had a podcast that he just wrapped up last year. He did it for, I think, 8 years or so. Mm-hmm. And it was called We Have Cancer. And when I talked to him on the Zoom, he was telling me the story of how that came about. And I'll make it really short, but it was basically the guy that was helping him come up with the name was talking with him and his wife and said, well, it's not that you have cancer. It sounds like both of you have cancer. I mean, it might be in your body, but you're both going through it together. And that changed my outlook on, my relationship with Lori, because all of a sudden I realized this wasn't about me. It was about us and how we went through it together. And so she has just been an amazing, support for me, always there. Even on the days where I feel pretty decent, she's still making all of our meals where we used to split duties on that. And it's just been, been amazing for her to, just be there for me when I really needed her.
Well, I have to tell you, anybody going through anything needs somebody that's supportive. But Lori has been absolutely just incredible in your life, and God bless her. And Lori, thank you for taking care of our Tim and making sure that he's good every day. Tim Sohn says, love that shirt. Be good to people. Tim, let me tell you, you are a walking billboard, and I love it because you have so many beautiful shirts, so many beautiful hats. But my favorite thing, of course, is the tattoo on your arm. I've never had the courage to get a tattoo, but if I got one, it would be something that beautiful and that great. Carmen Marsans is here. She says, Tim, using KFG works. I have witnessed that from a family member who, like you, has been fighting cancer for 4 years. Life is precious, and listening how others are also fighting helps keep up the fight. And Carmen and I are very good friends because her brother Emilio is one of my dearest friends. He brought me into AARP. And the minute Emilio was diagnosed with cancer, I took the train down to Maryland, and he was diagnosed with stage 3 pancreatic cancer. And he's been a cancer thriver, beating it. We're going to talk about the name Cancer Thriver. And Emilio's a champ, and he's my brother, and I love him to death. So Carmen, thank you for being here and saying that. Tim, but you amazing. We're going to read one more here from Jim Canto. My experience knowing Tim for over a decade, he's as advertised. What you see is what you get. I've always respected that. Absolutely, Jim. And thank you. You're 100% transparent, 100% genuine. And through this journey, what I want to do as we go through some photos here is you show the good, you show the bad, you show everything. Because why? Because this is what's happening. And you don't hold any punches.
Well, I've always felt that, I mean, not always, but in the recent years, I felt that, too many people, especially when you look at, younger influencers, or, they might be sitting in their home, but they're making it like they're on a beach somewhere, and to me, that's not what social media is about. That's media. That's a one-way broadcast. Social media about, it's about being social with other people. And when we get together for coffee, when we get together for dinner parties, when we go to networking events, we're not always talking about all the great stuff that's happening in our lives. We're sharing some of the struggles that we're having, some of the obstacles, how crappy our day was, how shitty our boss was, whatever it is. Life is not always rainbows and unicorns. And the whole thing about me going through this cancer journey was being open and honest. And every time I see somebody talk about how bad the prep is for a colonoscopy, I just remind them that it's better than living with it. for years, and having to go through the side effects from getting chemo that give you the same basic thing that I'm going to need to prep for my colonoscopy for. So it's much better to get a colonoscopy than it is to get cancer, and to catch it early if you have to. So it's just those things about sharing the negative side, but also the positive side of things. And I always have been more of a glass half full than a glass half empty kind of person. So I do, and I think Tim Sohn asked this question a little earlier. It was about, something about how do you always sound so positive and everything. It's because that attitude that I have is, okay, after and this is something I believe well before I had cancer, every failure is an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity to learn from why we failed, what happened, and really change our mindset and start looking at what can I do differently moving forward? What opportunities are there moving forward? And so when I'm sharing when I'm not feeling good, it's usually with a point to try and get people to understand that why screening is so important, what age you should get screened at, how you can help. And, this is a perfect picture of one time on the left when I was, not feeling well at all after a chemo. I think I had just gotten sick. It's before I shaved what little hair I had left on my head. And, I was just laid up on the couch but I wanted to share that because I'm not always looking the way I do on the right? I'm not always showing up the way I am today. And it's important for people to realize that. If we were to schedule this show for last night, I'm sure I wouldn't have, I was ready. I was in bed at this time last night, and I still got I can stand up and, I got my fanny pack on here, so I'm still like sporting that, that photo from outside with my hat, and my shirt, and my tattoo and everything, but I still got that on, but I feel like I'm more energized today. And thankfully, it used to be really bad. And, the nerd, my buddy Lee, who volunteered to shave his head with me when my hair.
We're going to show everybody how you are real and how real you are, because this is the thing. People have trouble with this, and I want you to speak about this because I've listened to several lectures that you've given, and I've listened to them a couple of times because I really wanted to soak it up about your knowledge and your insight and your incredible experience in dealing with fear, because you've written about it. You're working on a book, I know, and one of the things that you talk about so much with fear is overcoming it, of course. But people have a fear of sharing too much on social media because they're worried that they're going to reveal certain things that people are going to then, talk about, or that other people are going to know about at work and this and that. And I understand. But when you're going through something like this, what you're doing is helping so many people that it's so important to be able to tell the story. And you do that day in and day out. And that's why storytelling is so important. But yours is the real story. So tell us about your buddy here. Tell us about, all of the support that you've gotten from him and other people by sharing everything about you're going through.
Yeah, well, Lee is somebody I went to high school with up in the Chicago area, and he's been living in Florida for quite a while. So, him and I see each other, as frequently as we can. And it was just one day he just said, early when I got cancer, he goes, "Hey, if your hair falls out, I'll shave my head with you." And it really didn't it happened a little bit, but I never shaved it. And then it got, then it started getting fuller again, and then it started falling out again. So I said, well, Giving Tuesday's coming up. I'm going to shave my head. You want to do it with me? So we did. And, that's kind of, how we did that. But I really want to talk about, the fear thing, because, I really feel like there's two types of fear. There's irrational fear and there's rational fear. And rational fears are something that we need, right? They're the things that keep us from putting our hand in a pot of boiling water. They prevent us from jumping out of an airplane without a parachute. They're things like that. They're real things that we know, our bodies know, our minds know that if we do certain things, we are going to cause ourselves either bodily harm or death, right? And I don't want to live without fear. because I don't want to put myself in those situations, right? But now there's a lot of fears that are irrational, like, is anybody going to listen to my story? Do I have enough money? Is my job title the right thing? Am I working for the right company? Am I enough to be successful, right? And those types of things that our minds do a great trick at trying to make us think that those are rational fears. They're irrational because they're just thoughts that are beat up on what we've obtained from past experiences, what we've obtained from watching media, what we've watched from watching our friends and coworkers. And we start comparing, and our fear, our ego starts telling us these are rational. They're not rational. They're irrational. We never know until we actually do what's going to happen. And so one of my pieces of advice when I get to telling people, especially about sharing their story, right? Even if they don't think that people are going to look at them in the right way, it's if you can help one person. They don't need to acknowledge it. They don't need to comment on it. They don't need to pick up the phone and call and tell you what a big help you were and how you changed their lives. But if you could impact one person and help one person by sharing your story, because I can guarantee you if they Google something that they want the answer for, they're going to get 1,010,000 results, right? But the one obstacle that you are dealing with, that you're facing, is the exact same thing that somebody else is facing. That's what they're going to relate to. That's what's going to inspire them on how you dealt with it and how they can gain strength from that and deal with it in their own way.
And that's so important, because I have to tell you, so I was watching a show one day that was produced by our good friend and colleague and good friend and colleague, so many, Sri and DigiMentors, his virtual consulting company and production company, actually produces a show called She's on Call. I was watching She's on Call, and I've had GERD. I've had some issues with GERD, gastro reflux, and everything. And they had some great experts on, Dr. Sujana and Dr. Marina. Everybody should watch She's on Call. Rose Horowitz is one of the producers. Rose is behind the scenes here. This is like one big live streaming family. We're like all in each other's shows and helping each other. But my point is that I watched this, and I've been battling this for a little while. It's not severe, but I started feeling some discomfort in my sternum area. And Dr. Sujana was talking about this with Dr. Marina and the experts they had on. And I went, and because of them, I decided I was going to go get it checked out. So I recently had, because of you, I had a colonoscopy, and I checked it out, and I had the endoscopy on the same day. I had a twofer. And, thank God everything's okay, except for a hiatal hernia, which I can take care of through diet and other things and stuff. And it still hurts a little. But my point is that social media is so important. It's so great to be able to share this knowledge and information. So that's why we have to keep sharing the good information and getting the facts out there. And what I want everybody to do, Tim, is I want everybody to start thinking about this. When you're on social media, our good friend David Beard used to talk about this. If you don't like what you're seeing on social media, change it. Get rid of some of the feeds you don't like. Block certain things that you don't like. Clean it up, and then you will start seeing more of what you want to see. Right, Tim?
Yeah, absolutely. I am very cautious about this, because I do think that and I know this to be a fact, that we have a limited amount of energy in our bodies. And sure, can we build that up just like we can build up our muscles? Sure. But it takes time, and it's not like we push a button or can go buy more, right? It's like, that's how much we have. There are people around us that suck energy out of us at an alarming rate. There's people that kind of lift and fill our energy up. And then there's people that you can be around that they don't fill you up and they don't drain you, right? But you got to really be aware of those people that are draining your energy, because they're the ones that can suck everything out of you, where you don't have enough to give back to anybody else or to take care of yourself. Now, that being said, I think it's very important to still expose yourselves to people from different backgrounds, different ideologies, different cultures, because that's how we learn and we expand our knowledge. And if we just limit it to the bubble that we want to be in, it gets a very, very much becomes an echo chamber where we're all talking the same thing. Nobody's going to convince anybody of anything different because we all believe the same thing. But at the same time, we're never expanding our connections, our knowledge, our wisdom, because we're surrounded by people that believe the same things we do.
Well, that's why you and I were having a conversation earlier today when we were preparing for the show and we were preparing everything. You know, we were on the phone online earlier and we were talking about just that. You know, differences of opinions, different people's, what they're posting and this and that. I'm not talking, you know, about getting rid of everybody, but there's a certain amount of negativity out there that we don't want to cloud our heads with. We don't want to cloud our spirits with. But there are people that we should read and know about what they're posting, what they're sharing, because we need to know other people's opinions. No one's a total authority on everything, you know? I mean, so, but one of the things I wanted to dive into for a second is the way, let me get this straight for a second. So Adam Grant, who's a well-known writer, and Adam's background, sorry for 1 second, I just need to get to this for a second. He's an organizational psychologist and best-selling author, I know. He talks about the 5-minute favor. And I wanted to talk to you because with all the innovation in tech, there's never been more ways at our fingertips to be involved, right? Be active and help others. And in turn, though, it can be exhausting mentally and spiritually. It can be a soul suck. Talk to us about what you've written about called the 5-minute favor, which he is the one who wrote it and talked about in his book. But talk to us about your thoughts on giving without getting crushed.
Yeah, well, Adam Rifkin was actually written about by Adam Grant in his book in Give and Take. So it was Adam Rifkin's 5-minute favor that Adam Grant wrote about. But what I felt was that you know, all of a sudden, because I loved helping people and I love giving to other people. Right. But what that 5-minute favor helped me realize was if I can do anything in 5 minutes, why shouldn't I be doing it? Right. And so, for instance, when I got the same question asked me 3 times, I would just say, oh, you know what? I can write a blog post about this. And next time somebody asks me, instead of going through this half an hour, 45-minute conversation with them, I can just share a link to a blog post that they can then read on their own time. And it doesn't take any more of my time. That's right. So that's like one way of doing things. The other thing was, and this is still my favorite thing to this day, is instead of me, I don't know why, when I was at HuffPost, I got a lot of students that would come to me with resumes and ask me to review their resume and critique it for them. I'm not a resume expert. I've never been in HR. I've been in that community of HR people, but I've never been officially in HR. I've never been a recruiter. And so, but I didn't want to say no. So I was always as helpful as I could be. But the one thing I started realizing is spending so much time, and there was back and forth on this, was I knew several good friends that were career coaches that helped with resume writing. And all I had to do was make a simple introduction connecting those two people, and boom, they could find out if they were a good fit or not. But I helped both of them, one their business and one get a minutes. Yep. In 5 minutes. And less than 5 minutes it took, you know, and it was like, it was so easy.
And I do that all the time now. And I thank you for having written about that, because it made me think about that. And I do so many favors to different people, but they're not soul sucks, you know. Nope. But I'm still helping. I'm still doing what I want to do that way. And I think that's really important in dealing with social media, the overwhelming amount of information on social media. The same thing with that, you know, find what's important, filter the stuff that, you know, you make a list, you know, in your head of things that you really like, the sources you like to go to, and everything else can be looked at whenever you have time, you know, because there's just too much going on for any of us to handle.
Yeah. And another thing that I love doing too is like when I first moved from, you know, New York down to Florida, and I would go back to New York on business, I would get so many people that would want to see me, just get together for lunch, for coffee, whatever. I think that's when you and I met. One of the first times was for lunch. But what I quickly realized is my schedule got so tight in the couple days I was back up there that I was always running behind and I was cheating people out. I was feeling rushed. And all of a sudden, after my second trip, I think I just said, you know what, I'm going to create like a happy hour and a half event, like from 6 to 7:30, and whoever wants to see me can come to where I'm going to be for that hour and a half.
Mm.
And so I got to see anywhere from, 20 to 40 people in that span of 90 minutes, where I could never do that if I tried to have coffee or lunch with every single person individually.
Right.
And so it's a little bit more than 5 minutes, obviously, but it's the same concept, right? How do you take something that is all over the place and how can you condense it to reach even more people? That's what it's all about. That's what the 5-minute favor is about. And it's doing things in a way that don't drain you, but they fill you up.
It's doing so much for me when I started using it more and more. And thank you for calling that, to my attention by writing about it and everything. So I want to pause for a second here because I want to acknowledge a few more people and some of the comments that have been coming in, because I'm telling you, everybody is here for you, Tim. There's like 125 comments in the thing. If we stopped for everyone, we would never get through the show. But Tim is still here. Shout out to Sri, of course, always. Shout out to Sujana. Absolutely, Dr. Shout out to me. But anyway, I want to get into the numbers actually before we do all those other shout outs and everything. People know that we're paying attention to them. I'm going to get to everybody in the comments after the show. Thank you for being here and supporting Tim. Please share this broadcast. Let everybody know so they can know about his journey, all the stuff we've talked about tonight, the good, positive stuff about social media, having positive impact by sharing your true stories. Okay. But I want to talk about numbers and stuff. So what I want to do, because it's really important and we want to make sure that everybody knows some of the important stuff here about dealing with the numbers. So right here, let's talk about why you're so passionate about this, adamant about this, and out there every day online and everywhere talking to people about this. Tell us what's going on, Tim.
Well, this is like pretty alarming, right? That, by 2030, it's estimated that colorectal cancer is going to be the leading cause of cancer-related deaths for people 20 to 49. And this is, if we don't recall, but even today, that most people think you don't even need to start getting screened until you're 50, right? And just in 8 more years, it's predicted that it can be killing more people under 50, is alarming. And it's so important, the work that Fight CRC has done, and they did this well before I got involved, but they've been working on changing some of the legislation so that, now the age is 45 instead of 50. And instead of having to wait until you're 50 to start getting screened, now your insurance is required to do it at 45. And the other thing that's important that they've been working on is, and this just happened to one of my good friends that I mentioned earlier, he got one of the screening kits, like a Cologuard test, and it showed positive, right? And what's happened in a lot of insurance companies up until now is they might have covered your Cologuard test, but if then you tested positive and needed a colonoscopy, you got charged for that. And so one of the things that they've done is made it a requirement that insurance companies now in the US cannot charge you for the whole entire screening process. So if you test positive on a screening kit and you need a colonoscopy, you cannot be charged for that colonoscopy. And that's just some of the work that some of the efforts of what Fight CRC does and have been working on for years. And we're starting to see some of the results on that now. That's one part of what they do. They do a lot of research and fund research. They do a lot of advocacy, and they do a lot of education for fellow cancer patients too.
Well, the other thing is advocacy. So you wrote this tweet recently on January 14th. That's pretty recent.
Yeah.
I'll let you read it.
Well, it's, and I think I brought this up a little earlier. It's, my new passion is, not only using social media for social good, but it's also using it for advocacy. And, one of the things that Fight CRC wants to do in March is, get state proclamations in every state. So I submitted one to our governor, and, it usually takes 4 to 6 weeks to get. So we'll see, I'm still only 1 week into it now, but we'll see if that happens. And, and then I contacted the local center is not taking calls because of COVID, but I contacted American Cancer Society, and they're going to have somebody get in touch with me about, helping coordinate the efforts, because if they've already have the contact names and have done this in the past for whether it be breast cancer or other cancers, they can help me kind of shorten that learning curve and get in touch with the proper people to turn some of our buildings and monuments here in the Tampa Bay area blue.
Well, that's the thing. Awareness, advocacy, impact. Whatever you're doing, do something, right? Isn't that the point? Do something. Just don't sit back. Like I always tell people, and even my kid, whenever we do, even in the past, before I got on this whole, social media for social good run, because I've always been about it, but I'm more passionate about it now than ever. And I'm always trying to share things. I started a thread on Twitter where I'm tweeting every day or every other day at least, always highlighting some organization, calling them out, letting people know about them that are doing great things out there. I'm going to be tweeting.
Calling them out in a positive way, not
in a positive way. Thank you. No, thank you for, I know the term calling them out, mentioning them, highlighting them, spotlighting them. Thank you for correcting me there. Not calling them out. Is an organization called Too Young to Wed that does tremendous work, especially recently with everything that happened in Afghanistan, highlighting the horrible nature of child marriage. Mm-hmm. Girls and boys, they do such incredible work. Too Young to Wed. So I'm going to be tweeting about them. I have been for months, but let's stop here for 1 second. Let's pause. And what I want to do is I want to talk and show quickly a video about Fight CRC, because it's important for people to know about them. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me put that video up right now.
Fight Colorectal Cancer is looking to a new future, a focused effort. We know who we are now. We want to take bold action. We want to do what we do very well, which is advocacy and research. We're taking a small team and we're going to amplify efforts. When Nancy Roach founded us, she wanted to make systematic change. And the only way we were going to do that was to attack policy, influence policymakers, engage researchers, be at the tables where decisions were being made, and we are. And I think that's what makes Fight Colorectal Cancer different, is that we're a credible resource, not just for families and patients, but for policymakers and physicians and healthcare providers and those individuals who are making million-dollar decisions on where we invest in hope and potentially a cure. We really have to be relentlessly fighting year after year if we're going to make things better. And as someone that's fighting on behalf of families impacted by colorectal cancer, it is truly an honor to be a part of this organization.
Wow. I want to thank Fight CRC and the president and everybody else of the organization for getting us that video so we could have it to show tonight. It's so important for people to know about the great work that they're doing. So, just talk about them a little more, Tim. And then what I want to do is I want to also mention a couple of other organizations, and then we're going to have to wrap up soon, but yeah, no problem here because your story needs to be told and I wanted to tell it to the fullest.
I think they really summed it up well with exactly
really
what we're focused on, which is a broad range of things, but it really brings about, I think, the biggest opportunities we have to create change, right? And, there's a call on Congress in March, I think 16th and 17th, that anybody's invited to go to, but it's specific for around colorectal cancer, and Fight CRC is one of the organizations that bringing people there. I don't think the meetings with the congressman people can be in person this year, but they're still doing an installation on the National Mall. So it'll be a big in-person event. And, it's a great way to kind of get involved and become aware, especially if you're just learning that you might have colorectal cancer, or you're a caregiver of a spouse or a partner that might have it. They have a tremendous, guide called Your Guide in the Fight. And it walks you through kind of every stage from just learning you having it to what the terms are, the questions you should ask, all the way through kind of the end of life, where the important information that you should be covering and how you should be handling certain things. So it's just such a great organization, and their entire team is just amazing. And you want to talk about somebody who talked about becoming the biggest fans of your fans. I mean, everybody on their staff is so supportive of all of us ambassadors, and anybody that's shown up on any of the resource calls that we have. They've been an amazing team. And I actually told Angie Davis, the president, that when I was out there at the training, that she had just put together an amazing group of people. So, and one thing I just want to, kind of on my end, kind of, leave people with is, and I've talked about this and written about it before, but sure. When people think they don't have anything to give, I always remind people that there's three things that all of us have, or that we at least have one of the three. One is some of us have money that we can give. Mm-hmm. We all have a voice that we can give, mm-hmm. and some of us have time that we can give. Mm-hmm. And so if you don't have money, use your voice. If you don't think your voice is effective, then use your time and volunteer for an organization. And, it's as simple as that. And two of those things don't cost you any money,
That's the key, and that's one of the other reasons, like we talked about early on, that I started this new show and put the spin on it to basically talk about social media for social good. Is you don't have to always, if you can't give the money, you have your voice and you have your time. I did it with the photographers for 50 shows where I highlighted them. I got their work out there. I wanted to help the photo community. And I'm just going to briefly say, when you were diagnosed, it touched me so much. I just wanted to help. I didn't have a lot of money at the time to do whatever, but I wanted to help. So I knew that people liked my photography. So I took a huge selection of my images. I started putting them out on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else every few days. And help that way. And it was an honor and a privilege to be able to do that for you. But more importantly, the point is that you could be behind your computer. You could be doing wherever. You could be taking a walk in the park. I go through parks now, and I bring a garbage bag with me. I pick up garbage wherever I go. We can all contribute in positive ways.
And it doesn't, we don't have to change the world. We just need to change one other person and maybe change our community, create the community that we want to be part of,
Yeah, just like don't throw things out if you have things that can be reused. Give them to people. I know it's a little harder right now under COVID because not a lot of organizations are taking everything anymore. And it's a tough time. Imagine that. Imagine all the people that are going without things because of this disruption that we've had,
Yep.
So there's so much. So before we go, I just want to give a quick, and I'm sorry to cut this so short on this, so we'll give it 5 minutes here. But I want to talk about the other organization you've done a lot of work with, because I would feel horrible having a son if I did not do this as a human being. Please tell us about your work with No Kid Hungry.
Yeah, well, No Kid Hungry is the actual nonprofit is Share Our Strength. Which I love the name because that's how I kind of got the idea for all of us have a strength to share, right? Where it's money time or our voice. And their work is to end childhood hunger in America. It's that simple. And it's amazing that, the impact that they've had in creating, some places already have this, some don't, but a lot of the places that have it are because of the work that No Kid Hungry has done, having free lunch programs at their school, breakfast after the bell as opposed to before the bell, because there's a stigma when you have to show up early for school, right. and kids know that you're showing up because you need breakfast. But if it's after the bell, then everybody has access to the breakfast. Not everybody has to take it, but then you're not feeling that stigma that you have to be there early. And then they do after school programs. And a big thing that they have during the summer is summer meal programs when most kids aren't in school, for them to have a way to get their meals. So they've done tremendous work in working that, making it in a lot of the major school districts and trying to work with every country. And I know I just saw a tweet before we got on, Steffen, that I think it was from the Washington Post that Biden just opened up funds for summer meal programs again, and there's very few states that have taken access to those funds that are readily available for them. So hopefully that will change between now and the time school gets out.
This is really important because, see, this is where sharing content like this is so important, because we're always educating people, and myself included here. And I tell you, I was flabbergasted when I thought about this, because I did not put two and two together. That one of the reasons why a lot of schools did not want to close down because of COVID. And think about this, these kids that are getting some of the only meals they were getting by going to school were now shut out of getting the meal that they need, possibly one of the better meals they're going to have all day.
Or all week. Yeah.
Or all week. So what a crisis this must have been, and continues to be, if schools shut down and other things. What a mess. But this is why we have to continue to call attention to this stuff with using our power on social media for social good. I want to show something that's very important about this story with No Kid Hungry, because I found a great video before we went. I couldn't embed it, but sorry, but I had to do it this way, but I had to show it. I'm going to grab it right here. Let's watch this for a second. Sorry, give me 1 second here. My bad. I just lost it. I apologize. There we go.
The greatest impact of the pandemic was crystallized for me standing in an empty school.
The meals we serve them at school for lots of our kids, those are the meals that they get.
To have that cut off is tragic. We're gonna feed every single kid. That just it kind of blew me away. Come on, girls, let's get it. The pandemic changed how we did things, but didn't change what we did. And what we do is feed children.
Over 10,000 people in the night. I'm left for 2,000. This is it. We are the last line of service for hunger.
Who's going to be there? Who's going to feed these kids today? That's my concern.
We need to eliminate this hunger. That's what that is out.
I don't think we should strive to get it back to normal.
Wow. I'm so glad I found that video, because I have to tell you, I am going to learn so much more about No Kid Hungry. I've known a bunch thanks to you, but I'm going to keep learning more, because that video awakened me to the other crisis during this pandemic with kids going hungry like that, because they can't, if they're not going to school, they're not getting a meal. It's insane. We have to keep changing things and doing things, sharing knowledge on social media. But Tim, I have to tell you, thank you for all you do. We're always with you every step of the way on this journey. And I want to give you the last word here and say, say some final thoughts as we're going to close out about the importance of sharing on social media and using it for social good.
Yeah, well, I think, and thank you, Steffen, so much for, all your support and having me today. I think we covered a lot, but the one thing that, I would encourage everybody to do is just, find out, something that you're passionate about. Usually it's something that, personally affected you, and just search for others sharing about it, and then share their stuff. Either share it if it's on Facebook, retweet it if it's on, Twitter, share it if it's on Instagram, right? And comment on it if it's on YouTube, and subscribe to their channel, learn more about them, get their background, and just be supportive, and then get the confidence to start sharing your story, and let other people that then you're sharing theirs are going to start sharing yours, and you'll find your tribe kind of build around you and your community build around you. But don't expect it to be this easy button that we just hit a button or we pay somebody to get followers. It doesn't work that way. It comes from your heart, and just trust your heart to let you take it where you need to go.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I want to close out on a really positive note, because I think it's important. to do that. But I wanted to show people the new love of your life and Lori's life that you brought into your home to be a part of your family. Tell us in 2 minutes about the beautiful, cute, unbelievable Bougie.
Bougie, we thought we got her as a rescue dog. She was abandoned, and then rescue place had her, and then she went into a foster home, and then we adopted her.
Oh.
And
she's adorable, man.
She was a real cutie. We were told by everybody that they thought she was Dachshund and Black Lab, and we did one of those DNA tests, and she's 50% Chihuahua and like 20% German Shepherd and like 12% Basset Hound. So
stop. That was some party, man.
You can only imagine. But you know, she has been really good at understanding when I'm coming back from chemo, about, you know, not jumping up on me, you know, laying in my lap with there she is last night, laying in my lap, my pump's right in front of her. So she's down in between my legs. She usually sits right next to me, but last night she was just sitting there like in between my legs, which she hardly ever does. But she just knew that, you know, I wasn't feeling that great, and just, you know, let me know she was there for me.
You know, I found those photos because I made sure, I said to myself, we're going to close this show out on a positive note, send you out of here with positive vibes that we've always sent your way, and we're going to continue to send your way. Tim, we are in your corner 110% all the way. There's not a morning I don't wake up that I don't think about you, and that I just send positive thoughts out to you, because I just wished I lived closer, because I miss you, buddy. I'm glad we're always in touch. And we love you. We love you.
Well, thank you. It means the world to me, everything you've done, and to see everybody here tonight. It was wonderful. And if I didn't get to any of your questions, feel free to reach out to me anytime, and I'll be happy to answer them. And even if you think of something that you didn't ask, I'll be here to answer them for you.
When you have that time, you and I will tackle the comments little by little, whatever, a little here, a little there. But what an engagement tonight! What an unbelievable community that turned out. I want to have you hang out for a second behind the scenes. I'm just going to close things out. Rose is going to help me close things out. I want to mention a few people. We covered a lot. I wish we could cover more, but we'll talk again. Thank you, Ross. Thank you. That means a lot coming from you. So hold on, Tim. Okay?
You got it.
All right. Take care. Hold on 1 second. Okay. So, folks, I want to thank you very, very much for being here for the premiere of the 2022 Spin It Social Hour, where we will talk social media for social good. I want to go through a few promos here. It's important, so please hang on for a minute, because we put a lot of work into this, and I wanted to make sure that I give the shout outs that are deserving here. Okay. First, I want to thank Andrew Kavanaugh. Please subscribe to this Photoshop expert and digital artist YouTube channel. Andrew is amazing. Right there, a digital artist, Andrew Kavanaugh. We'll put it in the comments after the show. I blitzed on the ticker for this. I apologize, Andrew. I just realized it. But please subscribe to him. Look him up. Andrew Kavanaugh, an amazing Photoshop artist who gives great tutoring, lessons, workshops. Find him, learn from him. I want to mention my good buddy and brother from another mother, as I call him, my BFAM, Tim Sohn, who's always there for me. We're there for each other throughout this pandemic, man. He has a show called Showing Up, Perspectives on Cancer. His next guest on Tuesday, January 25th with Kara Olker, his bestie, on the show is episode 12, From the Caregiver's Perspective, Forgiveness and Feelings, Emily Harmon. Sri, our dear colleague and friend, is having his normal Sunday read-along. This Sunday, join in with David K. Johnson, Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative reporter. Join him and learn so much from David. And then I want to talk about Rose Horowitz, one of my dearest friends, somebody who I co-produced this show for, Women to Follow. Her next guest is Carving Your Own Path, Advice for Nonprofits and Business Leaders, with Laura Gassner-Otting. And she's an entrepreneur, author, and speaker. And it's going to be a great show. Rose has built one of the incredible followings on Twitter. Hashtag women to follow. It's taken over Twitter. It went viral once. I'm so proud of Rose, and I'm honored to always be her producer and grow with her with this show. And now she's helping me behind the scenes. That's how we do it. We help each other, just like Tim said. And then finally, I want to mention my next guest. My next guest is, and I'm so thankful to have her, on February 16th for my second show, talking social media for social good, is Mitra Kalita. I can hardly wait to have her on. She is the founder of Epicenter NYC. She is a veteran journalist, media executive, mom, incredible mom, author of 2 books. She's the co-founder and CEO of URL Media, a network of Black and brown community news outlets that share content and revenue. So please join us on February 16th, and it's going to be a great show. Mitra has a lot of stuff that she's going to talk about using social media for social good. She had such Epicenter NYC had such a tremendous impact during COVID and continues to, educating people, helping people find testing, telling people about the numbers and bringing experts on. We did live streams together through DigiMentors. Unbelievable. Mitra, thank you so much for being a guest. So folks, take care, be well, and we will see you next time, and we will get to all of the comments. Thank you for chiming in. Thank you for showing your support. And I want to go out with a quick promo for StreamYard. StreamYard is the platform that I use, and I'm always thankful to have them as a sponsor. Please check them out. They are the game changer, and I've been a StreamYard fan and devotee since the beginning. So thank you very much, StreamYard. So we will see you next time. I'm Steffen Kaplan of the Spinach Social Hour. Thank you. Be well, and connect with me on LinkedIn. It's been a pleasure.